Well, I don't know about you, but lately I've been feeling a little bit unsure about the months ahead in the lockdown that we've been experiencing. It's kind of like a limbo, an in-between. We remember how things used to be and how they're going to be in the future we're uncertain of. But for now, I just don't know what's safe, what's possible. I think that today's solemnity of the Ascension can encourage us, especially with the scriptures. I was reading Sister Diane Bergant in her Preaching the Lectionary, and she says, Ascension celebrates an aspect of the resurrection, the exaltation of Jesus, and a turning point for the church, a liminal threshold, a moment within the Easter season, a time in between where we're not in the same place where we were and not quite yet in the second place to which we're going. This helped me. Jesus' disciples had just begun to comprehend his newly resurrected appearance and presence with them. And then we hear from Acts that he continues to teach them for 40 days and then is lifted up. He's taken from their sight by a cloud, which to me is a great image of the mystery of God. They're promised to be empowered, though, that the Holy Spirit will come to them. They will be baptized in the Holy Spirit. I'm sure they didn't fully understand whatever words Jesus was trying to tell them. Perhaps now more than ever before, we need to find our empowerment so that when the time is right, we can get back to our lives. We can get back to engaging life for the better, actually. Today is a good day to be reminded of who we are, not only as individual believers, but also as a faith community, as church. So welcome to in-between time. We don't know how things are going to be in 6 months or even a year. We're all a bit anxious. We have to get back what we feel was taken away from us. Will I have work? How will life be different? What about all those places and people I wanted to celebrate, the places I want to travel to? Will people ever be willing to hug me again? I've heard how people's lives have been put on hold. Someone said to me, I wasn't able to go to a friend's funeral that way I wanted to. And then grandparents saying we couldn't go to our grandchild's wedding. It's been postponed and we still don't know if we can go. So many celebrations of birthdays, anniversaries, and also the other fun things we do in life, the theater, recitals, concerts, whatever. Not unlike those early disciples who found themselves at a loss without the one whom they counted on, the one whom they relied upon, we too have questions. What's next? Is God going to be with us? And what am I supposed to be doing in this in-between time? Like the first believers, I think we need to understand that Jesus is still teaching us about living differently in this world, being part of God's plan, God's reign, to find new purpose in bringing life to the world. But unlike them, we're not waiting for empowerment because the power of God's Spirit is already with us. It's within us. It's just a matter of tapping into it, rediscovering it, if you would. You know, yesterday, Father Datran in the Mass spoke about how often we ask ourselves how we can know how the Holy Spirit is guiding us or is with us. He said we need to stop, we need to look, we need to listen. I like those words. Finding the power of God is not a magical thing, but simply about a heightened awareness to God who blesses our human faculties. We need to grow in discernment, pay attention to our human situations, stopping, pausing, so we can better pay attention to things that are around us, the needs that are there, and how we might bring a blessing. Sometimes it's in the word of a friend, maybe who's encouraging us. Sometimes it's even in a question they might be asking us. Or sometimes it's hearing the words of a song in a new way. I always tell people, let God surprise you when you least expect it. But then we need to pray for the strength that we can follow through on what God is trying to say to us and ask us to do, remembering that God's Spirit always brings about good fruits, as it says in Galatians. Life is going to be different, with certain uncertainties, and maybe it's always been that way, but don't let that immobilize you or make you be insensitive to other people. God's Spirit always moves us beyond ourselves. As a people of prayer, we open ourselves to the Spirit so that we can utilize that power that we already have as a church, which is a great power for good and for love in the world. I know the parish is going to be praying the traditional novena. The novena has its origin in the 9 days leading up to Pentecost, and we'll give you more information about that at the end of Mass. This is a time of anticipation to reconnect to Pentecost's energy that we all need. Jesus tells us today, go make disciples. Disciples are believers, always willing to learn, always modeling faith, and living with a kind of hope for all the things that can be accomplished in this world. So look around you, take notice, and reach out to someone. Consider what's possible. You probably already know what it is. Countless Christians have done great things in very simple ways down through the millennia, so we're not alone. We support one another and we encourage one another as church, and we'll know all that needs to be done and when the time is right. Someone once said, life is not so much a problem to be solved, but rather a mystery to be lived. I like that. And so in this in-between time, get comfortable with the mystery and live by the promise. I am with you always until the end of the age.